Hello, and welcome to County Perspective. In this show, we focus on Frederick County government, local programs and events, and the community that you live in. I'm your host, Brandon Rosa, and thank you all for joining us today. Now we have some good news to catch up on, so let's kick off the show with our top news stories. The Transportation Priorities Board of the Metropolitan Washington Council of Governments approved a $5.28 million grant to Frederick County to build Phase 1 of the Frederick and Pennsylvania Line Railroad Trail, a 1.8-mile section from Monocacy Boulevard in the city of Frederick to the Fountain Rock Nature Center in Walkersville. The F&PL Trail will cross over Tuscarora Creek and the Monocacy River, ultimately connecting with the proposed East Street Rails with Trail project. The 10-foot wide asphalt trail will follow the railroad right-of-way owned by the Maryland Transportation Administration and leased to the Walkersville Southern Railroad. Funding for the grant is through the Transportation Alternatives Set-Aside Program funding under the Surface Transportation Block Grant Program. While preparing for a recount of the County Council District 3 election results, the Frederick County Board of Elections discovered a discrepancy between the total number of votes in the certified results and the number of accepted mail-in provisional ballots. An ongoing review suggests there were human errors in ballot accounting during the mail-in and provisional canvasses. As a result of this discovery, a ballot accounting was reviewed.
The issue was corrected on Wednesday when we had state and other local board staff come in and assist our staff. In doing that, requested rescan. So at the conclusion of the rescanning on Wednesday, we did come up with the expected outcome number of ballots during that process. So our local board and staff remained committed to our mission of providing fair and equitable elections to all voters of Frederick County.
Frederick County Board of Elections is preparing a final report, which will be released to the public, on how this will be prevented in the future and how to better prepare for the November general election. Frederick County Public Libraries has begun work on the construction of its new Middletown branch, scheduled to open in 2023. This project will replace a smaller library on Prospect Street. When completed, the 15,000 square foot facility will be located at 31 East Green Street. Frederick County government held a groundbreaking ceremony to celebrate the start of construction.
The 2,500 square foot building just is not adequately sized for this community and for the level of usage that we see of the library in Middletown. So this new building is going to have so much more space and the ability to devote space to specific usage groups like teens and children, quiet study, and all of those things.
The new Middletown Library branch will join FCPL's 8 libraries and 2 bookmobiles that serve the Frederick County community. For more information about Middletown Library Branch and FCPL's services, visit fcpl.org. Just like me, I'm sure many of you love bicycles. I was just 4 years old when I got my training wheels off my bike, and I have never stopped riding since. Frederick County is full of bike enthusiasts and even high-wheel racers. Those guys are brave and cool. Watch this episode of Destination Frederick County to find out more about biking.
It's just like riding a bike. We all use this common phrase to describe something that is, once learned, never to be forgotten. In Frederick County, Maryland, our biking culture really is unforgettable. Navigate country roads on a picturesque covered bridge tour. Enjoy a cup of coffee with a friend at a local bike shop. Experience the only high-wheel race in the United States as racers take to the streets of Frederick riding historic 19th century bicycles. Come with us for a spin around Frederick County and explore the region's one-of-a-kind relationship with a bicycle.
My wife and I work really hard to bring a great event that's organized, but it gives a great rider experience, but then also a good spectator experience. And so having the only race in the United States, we have racers come from all over to participate. And so we have racers from all over the East Coast, but Midwest, West Coast, but then also from other countries like Sweden and the UK, even Puerto Rico. And so having people come from all the United States not only grows the event and makes it special, but then they also too get to see Frederick County, which is a nice perk. The diversity of the different terrains that Frederick offers for different cyclists, you get a nice, unique, diverse group of cyclists. It's riders of all kinds, and just sharing that love of cycling, no matter what the terrain is that you're riding on.
What I love about cycling in Frederick County is that you can ride in multiple different types of areas, even on just one ride. You can be riding in a valley on a really flat road, and then sort of 30 minutes later, you could be heading up into the mountains on the ridge. You can be riding through a covered bridge over a creek or a river, and then you could be 10 minutes later riding through farmland. It's pretty amazing. Frederick County is so big and so vast, and it ranges from, like, again, all different areas. So when you do the Covered Bridges Trail, you're connecting these different areas of Frederick, and you're essentially like getting a scenic tour by bike. I also think it's really cool to be able to ride through a covered bridge that kind of has that like historical feeling to it, but also it's just the roads in general that connect these bridges from one part of Frederick County to the other. They show you the different types of areas of the county, and you can kind of explore what is all here, which I think is really amazing.
Back in the day when racing was happening in Europe early on, there weren't like groups of people handing off food and water and stuff to the riders. So a lot of times they would stop off at a coffee shop, and the quickest thing they could grab would be an espresso. So fueled up with an espresso, hopped back on their bikes and took off. Gravel and Grind is a bike shop, coffee shop. We specialize in steel frame bikes. We rent, sell, and as well as repair bicycles. And then we have a whole other side, which is the coffee aspect, and we offer a place for folks to come gather here before a ride and meet up and head on out together. Cycling makes me feel relaxed. I always think of riding a bike as like when you move your body forward, you can move your mind forward.
Frederick has a wide range of cyclists. I think that there are a lot of opportunities here to do different types of cycling. I think Frederick, in a lot of ways, supports cycling or is working towards doing that more. And I think that is really inviting for people, even outside of the county, to come and visit this area and try different types of cycling here.
Okay, it's time for a quick break, but don't go anywhere because we'll be right back with more on County Perspective. Welcome back to County Perspective. I'm your host, Brandon Rosa. Our next segment in the show will focus on the new Animal Control and Pet Adoption Director of Frederick County. But before we find out who the new director is, let's see what cute animal is looking for a forever home in this episode's Pet of the Week.
After being adopted from a shelter in Little Rock, Arkansas in late 2021, 5-year-old Jolene somehow made her way to Frederick County, Maryland, where she was abandoned at a motel. Jolene seems to be taking it all in stride, however. She is a sweet and relaxed girl who loves attention and affection. She knows sit and down. Jolene also walks nicely on a leash and rides well in the car. She doesn't seem to be bothered by cats or dogs, and we're recommending her for children of any age. To learn more about Jolene and our adoption process, call Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center at 301-600-1546.
Animal Control and Pet Adoption of Frederick County currently houses over 150 animals, and with over 100 animals to take care of means a lot of responsibility. With nearly 30 years of experience working with animals, David Luckenball was appointed Director of Animal Control and Pet Adoption. I had the chance to speak with Luckenball just the other day. Let's take a listen. Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption welcomes David Luckenball as their new director. Linda Shea was a previous director for many years, and when she was nearing the end of her journey at the shelter, she had an instinctive feeling that Luckenball would be the right replacement.
So Linda retired at the end of December of 2021. She was our division director for several years. Throughout that process, we worked very closely together. And I believe I was the first one she told about her retirement because we had to have a plan in place to transition from her leadership to somebody else. So I was named interim director on January 1st of 2022. Through the process, I interviewed with County Executive Gardner, then met with the County Council, and I was officially appointed on May the 17th.
Luckenball has many years of experience with animals under his belt, and he knew he would be fit for the position.
So turning back the clock, July of 1992, I was hired here in Frederick County as a kennel technician. Applied and received a job in Howard County, Maryland as an animal control officer. Came back up here in Frederick September of 1998 as an animal control officer. Was promoted to animal control officer supervisor in 2008. July of 2021, I was deputy director here at Frederick County Animal Control. And then 6 months later, I was interim director, and then, as I said earlier, appointed to be division director in May of 2022.
Being the director of animal control and pet adoption has its perks, like being in a building full of adorable animals, from cats to dogs to roosters and turtles. But being the director of animal control and pet adoption doesn't just involve hanging out with animals all day.
Yeah, I always walk through the shelter. We've got some cats that are fearful and shy. We've got small animals, rabbits, guinea pigs, birds, hamsters, all those types of caged animals. And then we have our dog population. You know, we look out for individual things that we can do for each animal. You know, we have a lot of enrichment that we do. We've actually started an Enrichment Committee that meets once a month. We have some great staff here. You know, I try to, talk to each one and build a relationship with everybody we have on board. So I'm trying to, build that teamwork up here at the shelter so that, we're more efficient. And then with the public, some are happy with what we do, some are not so happy with what we do. So there's always a challenge. The animals are the fun part, but it's a people job.
When Linda Shea retired, she passed on the responsibilities of a director to Luckenball, and he quickly came up with a plan to keep everything running smoothly.
Our division was running well. She had a great plan in place and a great philosophy on how to handle things here. The first week I took over, during our first meeting, I wanted to emphasize 4 things. That I wanted to focus on animal care and enrichment. The second thing was customer service. The third thing was effort. I wanted all our staff to give 100% effort every day. And then the final thing is safety.
Luckenball sees the importance of the animal shelter in Frederick County, and he plans to expand the shelter.
We're getting ready to undergo a renovation here in 2024, which is going to change our facility and change our resources and give us some opportunities where hopefully we can reach out to the community even more than what we do now to provide assistance and opportunities with animals. There's going to be more kennel space, there's going to be more animal housing areas, there's also going to be more things for our daily functions like storage. It's going to be a more fluent layout.
Luckenball is excited to continue his career at animal control and pet adoption. He knows that his strategic planning and his relationship with his team members will continue to make the animal shelter a great place for the community and the animals.
We've got some great people here, and they work very hard, and they're always thinking of new ways and new ideas of how we can better do our job. So I'm excited as to what the future holds. I think we've got some opportunities in the future to really expand on what we do and it be a bigger part of our community.
Before I tell you about some final news, let's see what activities Frederick County divisions and departments are hosting in the next few weeks. If you'd like to find out more about virtual events and programs and activities that are going on in the county, visit frederickcountymd.gov. It's about that time to say goodbye, but let me tell you about some final good news before we go. Many kids are sad that summer is coming down to its final days, but that means schools will be opening their doors on August 17th for the first day of school in Frederick County. School's fun though. You get to see your friends and hang out with nice teachers, and most importantly, learn and expand your knowledge for the future. What is exciting about the first day of school is many students will have the chance to go into a new school this year, like Waverly Elementary School, and make new friends. This year, Frederick County Public Schools will be operating under the new superintendent, Dr. Cheryl Dyson, and more than 45,000 students will be enrolled for classes. Good luck at school this year, kids. Just around the corner is September, and it is important to remember that September is Emergency Preparedness Month. We can never predict when a disaster will happen, so that is why it is important to always have a plan in place for you and your family to be safe during any emergency. A plan can prepare you for any emergency or disaster like flooding, a tornado, and a fire in your home, hurricanes, and more. To find out more about how to be prepared for any emergency, go to frederickcountymd.gov/ready. Okay everyone, that concludes this episode of County Perspective. But before we go, don't forget to follow Frederick County government on social media in order to stay up to date on important news and events. We'll see you next time with a fresh look from a county perspective.